Two words, psychological thriller. And you know you had me at that. And that's why we're going to get into this review of this film that made its world premiere here at South by Southwest right now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. Yes, today we're going to be reviewing another film that made its world premiere at South by Southwest 2021, and this film is Here Before. Now, I read the synopsis, and it's very thin, but it had me at the word psychological thriller, which happens to be one of my favorite genres, so I said, I'm definitely checking this out, and then there was a big notable name attached to it that I've liked in previous films, and I was like, okay, definitely invested into it. So Andrea Riseborough is your star here, who completely carries the film. It's not even a question. But again, with it being a psychological thriller, I said I definitely want to see what she has in store here. Now, I'm going to read the synopsis really quick, and then I got thoughts about it. So after new neighbors move in next door, essentially she's a grieving mother who begins to question her reality in this unsettling psychological thriller. So essentially nothing's being said here. You have a woman that seems to be grieving from something, and new neighbors move in, and that causes her to start tripping of some sort. But the reason why the synopsis is so thin is because I honestly feel I don't know what I can tell you all without spoiling the movie for you. Because basically the progression of the film, you don't really know what's going on. You don't know initially by the synopsis, and then you start to understand exactly what she's grieving, how she's grieving, and the effects of what in which she's grieving. Because like ultimately, if you've ever grieved in your life or you've been around somebody who's grieving, you know what affects everything around you. So in this case, she puts her family, her son, and her husband to the test by the different things that she's going through. It also affects her neighbors to an extent, and the effects that's causing with her neighbors is also returning receipts as well. And like that's almost as simple as I can put it without spoiling things, because it's a psychological thriller. It's your job to kind of dissect what's happening, putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and ultimately drawing a conclusion. And then there's the idea of reality versus some form of illusion of whatnot. So and that element plays a part into this as well. So I can't really give you too much about the plot without spoiling it, because it's something I want you to enjoy. With that being said, Andrea carries the film, it's without a doubt. But I also thought the kids involved with this were fantastic. They're future stars, and I thought that every scene that the son and the neighbor's kid was on, they were really good. I mean, even in the end, they really have some really electric scenes that I thought was fantastic. With that being said, I also think this might be one of the most complete films that I've seen at the festival this year. If this doesn't have distribution yet, it won't be long. This absolutely feels like something that fits within IFC's catalog of films. So if you're a fan of IFC films and IFC Midnight, then I think this fits right in that grouping of things that they acquire. But even if it does have distribution already, I would definitely look out for it, because I think anybody who likes a good psychological thriller, or who likes a film that you really gotta dissect what's going on to keep you invested, this is one. With that being said, there was times where I said initially I was super invested in it, and there was time it kind of fizzled some. So there was a little bit of a disinterest in the middle of the film. But nonetheless, the cinematography was just phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal, and you attach that with the score, and it played just the extra element of that catered to this genre that's needed. Like I'm sorry, if you don't have good cinematography and a good score on a psychological thriller, it's almost pointless to me. Like, despite how good the acting is, you really need those two critical elements to really make this work. And then I thought the plot was intriguing, because it wasn't easily wasn't easily predictable. There was elements of it I thought was predictable, but nonetheless I still felt it entertaining once it all came together. And and to Andrea, she wears distress on her face, distress and worry so good, so that really sucks the viewers into really establishing a connection with what she's going through, what that character is going through. The character Laura, who's the mother again, in this. But like I said, this film, it is it's a British film, so there's a lot of British dialogue and lingo. If you're not accustomed to that, then you could potentially get lost in translation as to what are some of the things that are being said and what exactly do they mean, and like the urgency amongst some of the words and whatnot. But either way, I thought it was still a good film. I thought, again, one of the most complete films that I've been able to review this year. And again, if it doesn't have distribution, I wouldn't be surprised if someone's knocking at the door right now. But with that being said, it was a lot of good. It's a film I definitely think I want to recheck out again, because there was, again, a middle point where I was just kind of like floating around a little bit, lost a little bit of interest. But I definitely think that it's definitely a film worth checking out. So again, folks, we're talking about the film Here Before, which is part of the narrative feature category this year, and also in the competition for narrative feature. I definitely think it's one of whoever's looking for a good psychological thriller. This is one that you definitely should check out, and because there was a lot of good to this film. And again, I think from the acting, performance, cinematography, and score alone is just what do it. And then the kids were like the icing on the cake, because I thought their performances was done really well too. So anyway, folks, that'll do it for my review, and stay around because more reviews are coming really soon. Thank you for watching.